Okay, I'm just gonna mindlessly ramble about how much I like Attack on Titan for various reasons, and yeah, I don't know if there's gonna be spoilers, probably, but I don't script this shit, so, bleh. For those of you who don't know, Attack on Titan is a Japanese manga comic book thing, graphic novel that's currently being published in Japan, and, obviously gets imported here via the internet and whatever. So far, there's been one season of a TV show that's been out, and it's really, really good. I haven't read any of the comic books or anything, because I really like how the show's done. So I don't want to read ahead. I actually just want to experience the show. It's one of the first times I've actually done that. So, yeah. The story basically encompasses the last of humanity in a semi-feudal age, defending themselves against these giant freaking titans that want to eat them, and we don't really know why. What I really like about the show is that everyone who is a character, you don't know whether they're going to live or die in the next episode. Everybody is insanely vulnerable. They'll build up characters with entire backstories and personalities that everyone will care about, and then just kill them immediately. And it's freaking, like, it's kind of like Battle Royale. If you've read that book or seen the movie, I don't know the movie, but if you know what I'm talking about, it's like that, where you get character development and you get somebody you're really invested in, and then all of a sudden they're just snuffed out, and then you just have to deal with that. And that's something Attack on Titan does really well. So, good for them. I really like the art style in Attack on Titan 2. I like the way everything is drawn. There's a really, surprisingly thick outline around everybody, but I stopped noticing that after the first couple of episodes. And the artists have done a really, really good job of capturing a horrified expression on any character's face. Because the world this is in is so, dark and horrible, and it's like, we're all gonna die. Oh god, we're all gonna die. And every single character can pull off that face, and the way that they draw it is so perfect. And unlike a lot of animations and stuff done in a similar style, you can definitely tell the differences between different people's faces. I mean, I don't want to make too much of a generalization here, but the typical anime face is kind of difficult to distinguish from the other typical anime face. And Attack on Titan doesn't really do that as much. I mean, there's people who have, defined noses, or, different eye color, or whatever. It's a whole thing. They get different people with different hair colors and styles and all that jazz. And, yeah. The soundtrack is also incredible. I really like the music. The music has got such a really great thing. Both the theme tunes that have been used in the first and second half of the season were really good, and all the music inside the actual show was really awesome, and that's one of the reasons why I want to watch the show instead of reading it, because I love the effort that's gone into it, into the voice acting and the music production, and the way that they've used 3D and CG and stuff like that to kind of enhance the art, and everything comes together so well with the voice acting and the everything, and it just looks really cool, and it sounds really cool, and it's really fun to watch. So that's why I watch it instead of read it. But my main thing of why I like the show so much really boils down to the three main characters and how much I relate to them in different ways. The three main characters of Attack on Titan are all really different people with totally different outlooks on life and totally different personalities and everything like that, but I identify really strongly with each one of them for different aspects of myself. And I find that really, really interesting. There's the main protagonist, Eren Yeager, who's really kind of stubborn and pig-headed, and a lot of the time he kind of gets concerned about what he's capable of, because I'm not going to spoil too much, but turns out he has the ability to do something that's really helpful, but at the same time really dangerous. And that comes in really handy for him, but at the same time he can't really control himself. And so that relates to something with me, because for a long time I was really stricken down with depression and anxiety and stuff like that, and I would have a lot of hard time with my own thoughts in my head, and I'd be really concerned about what it was that I was capable of doing, either to myself or to the people around me, and that really scared me. And I'm better at dealing with that now, but I really see myself in that sense with Eren. And so it's really cool to analyze that for me. The second main character is Eren's childhood friend / adopted sister in a way, Mikasa. And she's pretty emotionally dead most of the time. It's shown in a later episode that through a childhood trauma event thing, she basically was panicking and didn't know how to deal with things, and then just basically shut off all of her emotions, and then was able to become incredibly efficient in doing it, whatever it was that she wanted to do, and which is kind of scary, but yeah, it is kind of a really interesting part of her character. And so there's a scene later on which she kind of like gets emotional and really freaks out, and it makes everything so much more powerful because you know how much it means for that character to show emotion and to see how much she does. It's so powerful and crazy. And I really identify with Mikasa because for about a year and a half, 2 years, maybe even 3, I don't even, it was a long time. I was like that. I completely shut down emotionally. I mentioned that I, suffered from depression and everything like that. I don't really feel like I do now. But one of the ways I kind of coped was I just stopped feeling things in general. I had a really hard time just going through life feeling, so I decided not to. And I'm out of that now, and it's coming really handy with myself and on how to deal with things. It allows me to get back and kind of get some perspective and not get too emotional about things. But at the same time, being stuck in that rut and being unable to feel, surprisingly, feels like crap. But yeah, it's so neat to see how like another character, again from the same show, the same character tier of how important they are, works through that. It's so cool to see, like, oh look, there I am again. Lastly, and actually the most recently in terms of how it pertains to me, is the third main character, Armin, who, he's kind of like the brainiac of the group, really smart, but really not physically capable, and he was bullied a lot when he was younger, and all this stuff, and I wasn't really bullied that much. That's not where I'm going with this. The thing about him is that there's an episode that I'm actually in the process of watching, which is what inspired this video in the first place. I'm just rewatching it, the whole thing. He was constantly down on himself because he would think that he's a burden to the people around him, and like they see him as somebody who needs protecting, and is like he's just this burden, and then nobody wants him around, and he's just like kind of there and is not helping at all, and he gets really, really down on himself. Obviously, there's reason to be down in the show. I mean, it's fucking sad and horrible, and it's awesome, but yeah, and so later on in the show, he realizes that his two best friends, Eren and Mikasa, they never saw him that way. They saw him as one of the most reliable people in the world, really smart, totally capable of coming up with plans in tight situations. They value him, and they care about him, and he didn't see it because he was so down on himself. And that's something that I've been doing more in my life since like this past year, and it feels amazing to like get that feeling that you're valued. And most recently, I realized, well, without not on my own, I realized with some help, that certain things that I had that were like distorted thoughts I had, and ways I didn't know I was inaccurate about in terms of my relationship with my mom. And we talked about it over Christmas time, and that really, really made me feel better. And it's really nice to have that like go through and like that shift in like, oh my god, this way I saw things that was negative, I don't see about like that I see, they don't, and they never even considered that. And it's such a relief to get that sensation. And so when I was watching this episode that I'm currently 7 minutes in, I just went, oh my god, that's totally what I've been going through for the past month and a half. Man, I love this show. I do. I really do. Seriously, if you haven't checked it out yet, definitely do. I mean, if anime isn't your thing, I mean, I don't think this counts, really. It's got a similar art style in some aspects. But, oh my god. If you like stuff, and like, oh man. I can't recommend that show enough, man. I mean, it's nuts. It's nuts. And I can't wait for more.